Hi everyone, welcome to Productize to Optimize, Enhancing Value in Expert Services. Now, in my last video, I shared why you might want to consider productizing your knowledge and expertise. In this video, I'm going to talk about actually how to do it. So this is a practical, we are going to cover in as little time as possible, as quickly as possible, how to convert your knowledge and skills into marketable products for sustainable growth. Now, spoiler alert, watch this presentation with two lenses. Lens number one is how do I do this? And lens number two, how is Jeff doing this? And what I want you to do is take some notes and observe not just the fact that I am training you, but the fact that this training is in fact a product. So I have a lot of experience as a business coach, as an accountant. I'm a recovering accountant. I can teach you a lot of things about how to productize your professional services, whether you're an accountant, a lawyer, a business coach, a business broker, whatever it is. I promise you there is a product within what you do. And if you're desperately stuck, there's two default products. Number one is how-to videos to help people identify that they need your services and how they can be prepared to approach you. And then there's an onboarding of how they can take the steps they need to take in order to be ready to work with you. So this will be as thorough as I can and as little as time as possible. We do a very, very deep dive where for each of the videos, each of the elements of Productize, we have deep dive. We have a 100-minute workshop. You'll be invited to that, and I will show you as much as I can, give you the tools. You can start today, and I hope this helps you. So I've shared my why in more detail. I'm not going to cover it in detail here, but you can watch the why video if you want. But basically, I found out that the answer to the question, how many 100-hour weeks can you work with before you collapse? Somewhere around 18 months. And I was an accountant with a rapidly growing practice. And basically, I prioritized work over health. It damaged relationships, it damaged my health, and quite frankly, it cost me a lot. And I used to say, I don't have time to work out, I don't have time to go to the doctor, I don't have time to eat better. I promise you, you don't have time to burn out and get sick. So your body will get the rest it needs one way or another. And because of that, I am dedicated to helping others, and I spend most of my time researching better business models. And the number one thing I've found that helps local businesses, especially expert knowledge-based businesses, is the Productize methodology, which is a fancy way, it's my way of saying create products that your customers can consume as they get to know you and eventually hire you for your high level services. And by the way, it also helps you because they come to you better prepared to work with you. So my favorite tools are workshops, master classes, and books and workbooks. Today we're going to talk about mostly simple products. So let's get right into it. Now, what I'm going to cover is my 10-step productize. I'm going to show you what you need to do, how to do it. I'm going to show the benefits of each, and we're going to set some goals together. Now, the number one thing, the reason I'm going to encourage you to invest the time to watch this video is that if you productize and create little products that help your customers or your clients figure out how to work with you, how to hire you, how to benefit from your service, it brings you a lot more efficiency, it brings more profitability, and it allows you to hire and train staff. And I'm going to show why that's important if you're looking to grow a business. Now, for the record, if you're looking to design a lifestyle business where you're happy making the money you're already making and you just want to be more efficient, more effective, more profitable, keep watching because it's all part and parcel. So my goal for you today is to show you ways to transform your service delivery into a sustainable model. Now, this model has been built with over a decade of direct research and experience. You're welcome to go figure this out on your own. Full disclosure though, before that, I've got about 20 years in the accounting space. So I've spent 30 plus years of my life figuring these things out. I will teach you as much as I can in this short presentation. And I encourage you, if you want to learn more, let's have a conversation. So I just want to share that the current state, we have a lot of professionals that are doing hourly billing, and really truly that leads to unpredictable workloads, inefficiencies, and really truly it causes rifts between you and your clients because they have the desire to minimize your hours and minimize your rate. This builds out the traditional practice, whether you're an accountant, a lawyer, business coach, where you have high stress and limited scalability because your growth plan depends on your personal effort and taking new courses and charging a higher hourly rate. I'm hoping to free you from that. So stay tuned. And what we want to get to is we take our services, and I will show you how to do this. We will transform them into scalable, marketable products. And this is the difference between owning a job and running a business is you've got scalable, marketable products. And we'll talk about how to do that, but the goal is that your employees or contractors or whoever you outsource, they can do some of the work that you also can do, but also it frees you up to do the work that you're best at. And our goal is to create predictable revenue streams and above all that improved work-life balance. And a lot of people say it's a myth. I'm going to call BS on that because it is attainable if you know what steps to take. Those who say it's a myth, they've just given up on trying. And by the way, if you're worried about how does this impact my standing, my reputation, the better you do this with the scalable, marketable products, the happier your customers are. They're getting consistent, reliable results, and they're more likely to recommend or refer you, which is the ultimate client acquisition strategy. I wish everybody understood that. So we have exactly 10 steps, and they're based on the mnemonic. So productize, P is pinpoint, and here you're going to focus sharply on identifying your niche market. I'll have links to some detailed videos I've done on all of these, so you don't have to watch all of them. You can just skip to the one that's of most interest. Two, the R is refine, and basically this is the key component for building that product. So we're going to enhance the elements of what I call the transformation triad. There's trainable traits, treasure trove, and recurring revenue. I'll explain all of those in a bit. O is outline. We clearly define the problem your service or product solves. 4 is designate. We want to establish a distinct brand for your productized service. 5, we're going to unveil your signature system. And this is where we reveal the full list of components that make up your service. C is counteract. We want to proactively address potential customer objections. If somebody says, but, that's the end of a deal in most cases. We want to give them the information so that they're deciding, not being sold to. And this might sound a little foreign, but the reality is, as an expert, you can build relationships, close more deals by answering questions up front rather than waiting for them to bite you in the backside later. Now, T is ticket price, and this one I fight with people all the time. You want to clearly set and publish the pricing for your service. A lot of people say, but, I don't care about buts. The reality is, if you don't share your pricing, if you're not transparent, people actually worry about whether they can afford it. They start to build up objections in their head. And to be blunt, I don't want somebody to waste my time or theirs if they clearly can't afford me. So I like to put out my prices in advance, and people can then decide if they want to come to me or not. And believe it or not, just publishing that price builds fans and earns me referrals. Number 8, we're going to implement scarcity. And by that, we're going to create urgency by limiting the availability or access to us. I'll share more on that, but that is an important element. You don't want to work yourself to death. You want to work with great clients. So you want to set some criteria, create some parameters. And then Z stands for zero in, and we're going to precisely apply our Productize methodology to specific aspects of your business. So, spoiler alert, I'm a Pareto principle fan. I like to identify the biggest pain points and leverage that by solving it with a product. E stands for engage clients, and this is our final step. We want to actively involve our existing clients for their feedback so that we can build relationships, earn referrals, and streamline and test our product. So that's the one thing I think a lot of people miss is they design products in a vacuum and they think, oh, there we go. I built the greatest thing in the world. Now I'll just wait. Um, when I first started in accounting, I believed the lie from Field of Dreams. I believed if you build it, they will come. I put out my shingle, said, hey, I'm an accountant, and crickets. You need to engage people, you need to have conversations, and that's what we're going to cover today. So this is Pinpoint. And as I said, I'm going to go through each of these in detail and share some links to more detailed videos. But the biggest thing, and I say this with absolute sincerity and begging hat in hand, please don't do anything business wise if you can't clearly articulate who you serve. And I have an exercise for this. I'm not going to share it here. I will put the link below. But basically, you need to pinpoint a narrow, specific market niche that you can serve exceptionally well. And for my American friends, market niche. I'm Canadian, so we say it niche, but the reality is there's a saying, the riches are in the niches and the fortunes in the follow-up. So the more you can niche, the more you can define, the better your results will be. And there's a saying that you can't say the right thing to the wrong people, but the converse of that is you can't say the wrong thing to the right people. So if you know exactly who your perfect prospect persona is, you can write your marketing, you can do your sales processes, you can create your content as a long-standing, ongoing love letter to them where they're going to read it and say, oh my God, this person gets me. They understand my problems. And that's the difference between most successful and businesses that are struggling. The struggling businesses, they try to serve all people. And I love entrepreneurs. We're fun, amazing people with a broad skill set. The problem is we do too many things for too many people, and it makes it really hard for others to recommend us because they don't know exactly what we do. They don't know who we do it for. So number one thing, basic business 101 is understand the unique needs and preferences of your niche. This allows you to tailor your services and products to meet their exact requirements. So we will focus on specializing in a niche market, and this helps differentiate your offerings from competitors and can lead to increased market authority and brand loyalty. A well-defined niche enables more targeted and effective marketing strategies, which can result in higher conversion rates, lower costs. And above all, by focusing on a specific niche, you can develop deeper expertise and provide more value, which enhances client satisfaction and retention. And by the way, in the professional world, whether it's coaching, consulting, professional services, the myth is I'll go take another course and therefore I can charge more per hour. Um, that is a finite strategy and it will cost you in the end, and that cost will be your health. So we're going to work on this. I have some exercises we do. Like I said, I'll share links to more detailed videos. So the secret to productizing is number one, we need to be clear on who we serve. Number two, we're going to get clear on their problems. Now, I used to work at a Fortune 500 company, and the mantra was don't fall in love with your product, fall in love with the solution or the problem. Sorry, don't fall in love with your product, fall in love with the problem. I would refine it and say, don't fall in love with your solution, fall in love with your clients. Explore everything, what makes them tick, where are they strong, where are they weak, what are they frustrated by, what do they aspire to? And basically, if you factor in and understand them, then you can create a scalable business that is rewarded by you're paid for your value, not for your time. So I'm going to show you an exercise, but basically the transformation triad, the reason most professional services can't scale and grow is that it relies too heavily on the expertise or knowledge of the owner, the partner, the founder, whoever it is. And this applies across most businesses, but definitely it applies in the knowledge-based business. The trap is the more you know, the more you get paid per hour. Therefore, the only way you can earn more is to learn more or work more. So we want to create things, and I'll talk about the transformation triad, but we need things to be a trainable trait, which means I'm not saying don't do brain surgery, I'm not saying don't do high level tax planning, but think about the elements in there that someone else could do for you to prepare the client, to prepare the data, so that you're coming up as the final expert to put your blessing on it rather than completing all the steps. So, for example, in almost every case, there's some sort of data gathering. There's almost always some sort of research. There's almost always some sort of reporting, and then there's the meeting with the client. So, think about the things that you as an expert do, and instead of saying, I do tax planning, see how many steps you can break that down into and how many of those you can offload to another resource. Now, I'm not going to cover it in this video, but one of the things we do in our deep dive workshop is I show you how to use artificial intelligence to refine and create systems and processes so that everything is scalable. Now, I worked with a guy back in the day when I was in high school. I worked at a large fast food franchise. I won't name names because I don't want to get sued for sharing secrets that I shouldn't. But my boss, the franchise owner, he'd come in every day and he's whistling and loving life. And he's like, Jeff, you are so lucky. I'm so jealous of you. You're getting a world-class business education. And every day I'd look at him as I'm, burning myself flipping burgers, and I'd say, "Are you crazy?" And now I look back and go, I get it. As a teenager, I had the keys. I was one of several. I had the keys to $1 million franchise, and literally the business was run by a bunch of teenagers. There's probably about 100 of us, and maybe 5 adults in the whole mix, and most of those adults were in their early 20s. So systems processes make sense. And you're thinking, Jeff, you're crazy. This doesn't apply to me. I run a business coaching program or I'm an accountant. I promise you it does. If you look at the big firm models, most accounting firms, they have articling students who do low level work, then they have seniors, and then they have managers and senior managers, partners. Big firms do this. So why don't small firms? And the reason is we apparently like to work hard. Now, treasure trove, this is my way of saying our clients have to value it. If you solve a problem that nobody cares about, so what? So that is another secret. If you're solving unimportant, small, menial problems, you're going to get paid unimportant, small, menial fees. And then the final thing on this slide on this point is you want recurring revenue. Traditional professional services, every month you start with zero income and your fixed costs plus a bunch of variable costs, and every month you're earning money hoping to exceed and generate a profit. With recurring revenue, you can budget because you know with certainty your recurring revenue for the month. I worked with an accounting practice. We took and converted them, we productized them. They signed up 100% of their clients on monthly recurring membership levels, and it immediately smoothed out cash flow, took away the bumps and the bruises and the high points and the low points. We want to focus on recurring revenue. So those are the highlights, and basically what we're looking to do is look at building a scalable, profitable business model that can operate independently of your direct efforts. So we want our services easy to deliver, we want them highly valued, and we want to encourage repeat business. And I'm going to show you an exercise for that. And we want to develop the elements that enhance our scalability and profitability. Now, this is my transformation triad exercise, and I'm not going to go through this. I will do this in our workshop, but this is one of the things we do is we work with our clients and we get them to list their top products or services. And for the record, if you are a retail store and you sell 10,000 items, let's maybe look at product lines, or there's a rational way to do this without getting crazy. But a typical, business coach, what are your core services? If you're an accountant or a lawyer, what are your core services? And so what you do is just get a piece of paper out and create this little 5-column grid and list out your top 10 products or services, for example. You'll decide if you want to do this more in detail, and that's, with our coaching program, we dive deep into this. And usually what I find, no matter who I work with, way too many products or services without any analysis. It's just we add one. And by the way, it's usually the owner or partner took a course, learned a new skill. Hey, we got a new product or service. Now, I don't mind adding products. You just need to understand whether you want to add services or products. So list out your top 10 products or services. And then for each of these three, so trainable trait, is it something that a staff person can easily do or be trained to do? So if it takes somebody a year to learn something, that is not trainable. If you can spend 5 or 6 hours, or maybe even as little as a week, that's highly trainable. So give yourself your products or services. So for each product or service, give yourself a score between 0 and 10. So a trainable trait that is highly trainable gets a 10. Something that is expertise driven and can't be trained quickly, it needs 10 years of experience, gets a 0. And it's judgmental. You don't have to worry about exact, but basically the most important thing is 0 is hard to train, 5 is middle of the road, and 10 is really easy to train. So for example, flipping burgers at a fast food restaurant, 10. You can train somebody to do that in an hour or two. All right, so do that for all of your services. Now, the next thing is look at your treasure trove, and from the customer's perspective, what is their perceived value of this product or service? So if it is not highly valued, it's lowly valued, they don't value it at all, it gets a 0. If it's average value, it gets a 5, highly valued, 10. And again, you can use a scale between 0 and 10 based on, but 10 is the extreme. They love it, they value it. So I'll give some examples in a second. And then recurring revenue, how frequently do they come back for this? So 0 is a once in a lifetime product or service like estate planning or wills and trusts, things like that. Not always once in a lifetime, but usually closer to once than hundreds of times. And 10 if they make frequent regular purchases. And basically, our goal is to tally that up. So for every product or service, we'll have a number. And the ones that have the highest score total will be the ones we want to focus on first. And what this does is it gives us, as the owner, some free time, but it also brings in more money and it helps our clients and it helps us develop our team. So as an example, a trainable trait, bookkeeping is more trainable than tax preparation because it takes a little longer. I believe, there are places that do tax training in 13 weeks. Basic bookkeeping, you can teach somebody that in a few days. Advanced bookkeeping takes years, but basic bookkeeping, let's call it data entry, is highly trainable. So that would get a score of 10, whereas advanced tax prep would be 0 because you need years of experience. Now, on the value, the treasure trove space, the tax work is probably going to get a 10 because the clients really value it. They want to make sure they're in compliance, they're not in trouble with the tax authorities. Bookkeeping, sadly, is usually 0 because people don't understand how important bookkeeping is to their business. So you'll see on the trainable trait, we had bookkeeping at 10, tax at 0, and then on treasure trove, flip that around. Now, recurring revenue, both get a 10 because bookkeeping is done frequently, taxes are done annually. So actually, I'm going to modify my answer. Bookkeeping is probably a 10, taxes is probably a 6 or a 7 because it's once a year, not regular. So when we tally it, we're going to find in this really extreme narrow example that the advantage lies to bookkeeping, and therefore we want to productize bookkeeping first. And by the way, if you're an accounting firm and you offer bookkeeping, please listen closely. If you productize your bookkeeping, you standardize it, you enhance the quality, everything else you do gets easier. Bad bookkeeping leads to bad everything. So if you can find a way to make bookkeeping both profitable and valuable to your clients, it's a really good cornerstone for a small local business, a local accounting firm. Now, for the record, please don't misunderstand me. I do not want accountants, designated accountants, doing bookkeeping. I want you to build a team of bookkeepers so that they support you and help you build your accounting practice. And by the way, bonus points if you work with external or you have contractors and you can get them to do a lot of the cleanup and the preparation so that your tax season goes smoother. I've worked with great bookkeepers in my life, and every single one of them made my life easier to the point where tax season became almost just another day. It wasn't stressful. I was able to meet my deadlines because I knew the caliber of the work coming in. So that is the transformation triad. And after identifying your niche and identifying the problem you solve, that is my biggest step for success. Now, this one, we want to get really, really clear. And as I said, I have some detailed exercises for this, but the more clearly you outline the problem that your service solves, this is essential for communicating its value to potential clients. And we want to document each step of your service delivery, which is how we productize it, and we can ensure consistency and quality, making it easier to train our employees and our clients. And by the way, if you don't believe that clients can be trained, I promise you they can, and the difference is huge. So you want to set clear service outcomes and expectations. This helps your clients understand what they will receive, and this helps them decide if they want to work with you, and if they do, it increases their satisfaction. So a well-documented service outline also simplifies the process of scaling up as your business grows. We can create systems and processes for everything, including client onboarding, which in my humble opinion is the most important piece after your marketing and sales. If you onboard a client properly, you'll have a much better relationship. And we want to create transparency and sharing what we do in our service offering to build trust and credibility with our market, which is vital both for long-term success and to earn referrals. So that is outline. D for designate. Now, this is very, very important. We've talked about unveiling our signature system. Now, in designate, we want to brand it so that it's unique to us. Here's the thing, if you offer business coaching, business brokerage, legal fees, legal services, accounting services, nobody cares. And it puts you in a sea of sameness. So, one of the things you want to do is name your signature system, which is how you help people get the results. So, in this case, you want something that's unique that says, well, here's what you do. And basically, you want to say, here's our signature system. In my case, I called it Productize. You can call it whatever you want, but make it unique so that there's a category of one. People can't Google your service and find 10,000 people in your community that offer it. They Google what you offer and they find you. So we want to make it simple. So we're going to create a distinct brand for your productized services. And again, with our more advanced programs, we show you how to do this with the use of artificial intelligence and other tools. But we want to create a recognizable identity that resonates with our target audience. If it doesn't resonate with our target audience, we didn't get it right. Now, a strong brand differentiates your offerings in a crowded market, making it easier for potential clients to choose your services over competitors. There's a book called Blue Ocean Strategy, and that's what we're trying to do. Everybody fights in what's called the red ocean, where there's a whole bunch of competition. We want to be out in blue ocean where there's none. So branding involves more than just visual elements. It encompasses your entire client experience. So you want to make sure everything you do from initial contact through service delivery and follow-up is white glove. And there's some great books out there. Giftology by John Ruhlin is one of my favorites because it shows you how you can gift to your clients to earn referrals and how you can build relationships. I have other videos where I talk about a product called Send Out Cards. Sorry, it's now called Promptings. It used to be called Send Out Cards, where you can send greeting cards. And there's a book by Steve D. Sims called Blue Fishing, and he talks about making memorable experiences. Those are just a couple. Search for White Glove Service. There's some amazing books out there. And one of the best things I've ever seen and heard is if you offer professional services. I'm going to just be really, really blunt here. I work with a few wealth managers, and I have to say that they target the ultra wealthy, and yet they have bargain basement, dollar store type office space where people walk in and there's chipped paint, cracks in the floor. It's not white glove. So one of the things I would encourage you to do is, if you want to up-level your business, go spend some time at either a five-star restaurant or um, a high-end resort or a high-end hotel, motel, probably not motel, sorry, high-end hotel. And I've seen a lot of service companies, one of the first things they do when they hire a new employee is they require them to spend a weekend at a luxury resort or hotel, so that they can experience first-class service and then bring it back to the team. And by the way, if you're ever looking for innovation and for inspiration, Disney has a branch of executive training where they teach people how to build a Disney experience for their own business. So I've seen a couple of accounting firms go through this, and the results are huge. Believe it or not, you can stand out more and you can attract better clients by being a premium offering. A lot of accounting firms try to be the fastest, the cheapest, etc. There's no prize for second cheapest. Either you're the cheapest and you win a whole bunch of the lowest level of the market, or you're second cheapest and you're always chasing. So my advice, somebody has to be the most expensive. Why not you? Now, the last thing you want to do is develop a comprehensive branding strategy that is key to establishing a strong market presence and attracting those high value clients. More importantly, it helps you attract referrals. Now, I don't know that you're aware of this, but one of the things you need to understand is that referrals are the most valuable clients you can receive and have. And the reason is clients that refer others to you tend to stay with you longer, spend more money with you, be more loyal, and they want to be congruent, so they tell more people about you because they feel good every time they refer somebody to you. Now, the other fun thing is the clients you attract through referral, they also stay with you longer, spend more money, and they're more loyal, and they're more likely to bring referrals to you. So referrals truly are the ultimate goal in any business because you want those high quality clients, not the low discount pain in the butt ones that drive you crazy. Sorry, I misspoke on the last slide. I talked about unveiling your signature system. Sorry, I was so excited I got to it early. Basically, and I have detailed videos on this, once we understand our avatar, once we understand their pain points, once we're clear on the product or service we're offering, the solution, then we build out our signature system, which is designed to ensure that every single time our customers get what we promised, or our clients. So when you unveil it, you want to reveal the full structure of your signature system. And again, I have detailed videos. I'll share those links as well. But basically, we want to create a structured service package that addresses the most important specific needs of your niche. So we don't want to try to solve everything all at once. We want to give them, here's the top 3 things we think you should solve. Here's how we do it. And in the system, you need to clearly articulate the components, the benefits, and the outcomes, which provides your client with a transparent understanding of what they're purchasing. Contrast this to, hey, we do taxes or we do estate planning versus we have our 5-step estate planning system. Step 1 is this, step 2 is that. People want to know the steps. A friend of mine went for a medical procedure recently, and the medical practitioner said, here's what you can expect today, here's what we're going to do, here's what you should be on the lookout for, here's what a good result looks like, here's when we'll notify you. People just want to know. And the important thing is you're the expert. So if you showcase your signature system, it highlights your expertise and demonstrates your commitment to quality and client success. And by the way, it's like airlines, they all have checklists before a pilot takes off. If you share the checklist, your clients will hold you and your team accountable. They'll also feel more comfort knowing that you have a process. So when you unveil your signature system, it should be accompanied with detailed marketing efforts that emphasize the unique selling proposition of your system. So we'll talk about unique selling propositions at length. That is something we cover in our coaching programs. But if you don't know what makes you unique, I promise you your clients and your prospects aren't going to figure it out on their own. So you need to figure out why you are in fact unique. Now, your signature system serves as the cornerstone of your productized offering. This encapsulates the essence of your brand and the value you provide. So this is the big reveal. We want to make sure people see it, they understand it. And here's the thing, it's much easier for a client to talk about an accountant who has a 5-step tax planning process versus a generic, oh, they do tax planning. And this makes it easy for them to share and bring those valuable referrals to you. C stands for counteract, and as you can tell, we're probably getting near to the end of our 10 steps. But basically in counteract, we are proactively addressing potential objections and concerns from our clients. Now, this is critical for smoothing out the sales process for our prospects, but it's also amazingly effective at onboarding for our clients. So one of the things I would say, and if you don't do this, I'm going to call you lazy. I'm sorry, no offense. But if you don't do this, your clients or prospects, they have to figure out what they don't know. They have to figure out what to ask. You're putting a lot of pressure on them, which causes friction, which prevents them from signing on the dotted line and saying yes. So if you're getting a lot of proposals out there and you're not getting a lot of yeses, guess what? You need to smooth the edges a little. You need to absorb that friction. So one of my favorite things, whether you do nothing else, a number one, my big tip, take this away and do it today. Prepare responses to the top 10 challenges or questions that you might get from your prospects or your clients. And I promise you stand out because you did this. It is amazing to me how many experts out there, they know exactly what people are going to ask. And for some reason, they sit back and wait for the person to ask. So we're doing this proactively to overcome objections, but we're also doing it to educate people so that they know what to expect. So if you are an accountant, here's the top 10 questions somebody might have before working with us. If you're a business coach, lawyer, etc. So this is your number one takeaway from today. I promise. Do a list of your most common, most frequently asked questions. Survey your team, survey your partners, whoever you need to survey, and then create well thought out, well drafted responses to those 10 questions. Those responses should be on your website, on your social media. It should be a nice little PDF you can send to prospects when they book an appointment. Make it widely available. Because here's the thing, if you're answering the frequently asked questions, people like to share that. So your clients will say, hey, thank you for sharing. Here's the top 10 things I need to know before I apply for a mortgage. They'll bring their friends to you because you're the expert that showed them how to reduce their stress. Now, if you can, and this is optional, but if you've got some client testimonials or generic case studies or any data to substantiate what you do, put it in with your frequently asked questions document. What this does is it gives social proof, it substantiates your claims, and it reassures potential clients of the effectiveness and reliability of your services. When you sell professional services, the main thing you actually sell is peace of mind. So the more peace of mind you give them, the more people will line up and say, yes, I want to work with you. And we want to be really, really clear. A lot of people think, well, I'm an accountant, my services are self-explanatory. Well, highlighting how your services solve specific problems and deliver tangible benefits can help mitigate doubt and build confidence. And then we want to have some effective communication and preemptive problem solving. These are essential for converting those prospects into satisfied clients. So we're going to address and resolve potential objections. So basic, have an FAQ, what somebody should know about choosing someone in your profession. How do you pick a good accountant? Then you should have one about what they need to know before they work with you. And then, of course, what they need to know as they begin to work with you. So we talked a little bit about, we talk a lot about customer journey. You want to walk them from stranger to raving fan in a gentle, systematic way. And this helps us build trust through transparency and reassurance. And again, we're going to utilize testimonials and case studies to build that trust. Now, this one, I think we talked about a little bit. There's a lot of controversy here. People don't want to share their prices. You do what you want to do. My advice, I don't want to embarrass anyone. I don't want somebody coming to me and then saying, "Ooh, I can't afford that." So I publish my prices. And everybody's worried. What if the prices change? What if somebody sees this? Put an effective date on it so that they know. Price is subject to change. You see it on TV all the time. Now, for some reason in the professional services world, people are worried about sharing prices. Well, here's the thing. If you got to be sneaky and hide your prices, you're probably going to piss them off in the process. So you want to be transparent. I personally believe in clear fixed pricing. There's a great debate on in the accounting world about billable hours versus value pricing. Um, Honestly, I think a lot of accountants are too busy to stop and implement value pricing, which, by the way, is one of my favorite business models. In that model, you figure out what something means to a client and you charge them accordingly. So every single client pays according to their value. That is one way to do it. However, that's less scalable because you need to have a little bit of art, a little bit of science, and a little bit of negotiating to really truly be good at at value pricing. Now, we talked about the transformation triad. Fixed prices are trainable. People know the price up front. Yes, we're going to leave some revenue on the table, but it also means we're more scalable. So we want to set and publish clear fixed prices for our productized services. This simplifies the buying process for clients, establishes transparency, and makes it easier for people to refer because they can say, hey, they have a fixed price, here's what they charge. Now, again, you can change your prices, you just need to let people know. What I like about fixed pricing is it really helps clients understand the value they're getting, aligns their expectations with the outcome of the service, and really makes it easy for them to decide, are you the one for me? I will promise you, people get really nervous if they go see a professional who says, I charge $300 an hour. How long is it going to take? I don't know. Right there, very little trust is being built. So fixed pricing builds trust. Now, we don't want to tell our clients what they want. So one of the things I always do is I offer different pricing tiers or packages to accommodate various client needs and budget levels. This increases accessibility and market reach. Now, I am a big believer in the power of three, so I always like to offer three price points and give people a choice, for lack of a better word today, good, better, or best. Here's the basic entry level. We want to make it accessible to people. That is very much productized. And, it's usually done through a workshop, a workbook. There's very little, if any, one-on-one time to deliver it. Now, the midstream, so I call that the good level is the do it yourself. The better level is a done with you service. So you give them more attention. Maybe it's group, maybe there's, different videos, things like that. And then of course you have your best offering, which is where you're going to put your highest and best employees, your best value, and basically you're going to give your prospects a choice. Now, here's the magic. There is 15% of the population on average that will choose the cheapest thing you put in front of them no matter what. On the flip side, there's 5% of the population that will choose the most expensive thing that you put in front of them no matter what. And right about 80% will pick the middle price always because it feels safe. So here's the thing. If you offer a price in a proposal, you have at best a 50-50 chance that somebody will sign up and say yes. Now, the number is actually lower. It's about 20% if you look at industry averages. So if you have a binary yes or no decision, you're 80% likely to get a no, 20% likely to get a yes. Now, if you offer 3 price points, people are now shopping between the 3 price points, and it actually turns your likelihood of a yes closer to 80%. The math is a little weird, there's some science behind it, but the reality is if people are looking to choose between option 1, 2, and 3, they're in shopping mode, not deciding mode. So they're more likely to say yes. So if you look at that, we want to stack the odds and help people understand we can help them and they should say yes. Now, to be clear, this is not manipulative. We're actually genuinely, as professionals, we need to say, hey, I think option 3 is what you need. In this case, if you're willing to start with option 2, we can evaluate in 3 months, see if you need option 3. Or I do this a lot, start at option 1, figure out what your challenges are, we can brainstorm together, and if you're getting the results we promise, then we can talk about moving you up to option 2 or 3. So that is my little rant about ticket prices. I say this to people, do what makes sense for you. In my humble opinion, sharing the price makes sense. Now, if you are a truly unique, one-of-a-kind boutique business, you can look at value pricing. But again, I just want to remind you, we want our pricing to be simple so that we could get employees to do it and so that our clients understand it up front. Unless you're charging huge fees, you don't want to spend your time justifying your fees when you should be focusing on, can I help this person and how? Scarcity is probably the least used tool in professional because everybody's like, oh, I can take on as many clients as I want. I'll just hire more staff. We want to be an exclusive item. And if you don't believe me, look at things that have a limited edition or a limited run or small batch. They always sell at higher prices than things that are made in bulk. And if you don't believe me, go look at the luxury car market. The fewer cars that are made of a brand, the more they charge. I recently heard about I think it was a Lamborghini that was worth over 3 million because it was one of a kind built special for something. So think about what scarcity you have. Now, as a professional, and this is where you decide the scarcity based on your business, but basically you can say we're taking on 10 new clients a month, first people to sign up, that's it. You want to figure out what makes sense for your business. A lot of business coaches say, well, we're going to take 10 clients a quarter. Put your numbers out there so that people know that there is scarcity. I also know a lot of people who have a wait list. I actually saw an announcement on LinkedIn the other day. An accounting firm said, hey, congratulations, everybody. Our wait list is open. We're now taking clients. What do you think that does for their demand versus the accounting firm who's got hat in hand? They're begging people to become clients. So we want some urgency. We want people to take action quickly to secure our services. We don't want to be the off the rack. We want to be bespoke. So you can have limited time special offers. You can have exclusive access. Capped client slots can effectively generate that demand and prompt immediate decision making. So one of the things I like to do is the first people to sign up for anything I offer, they get full access to me, not 24/7, but I'll have like a private channel where they can ask me whatever questions and I'll answer within 24 hours. That exclusivity is worth a lot to some people. Now, as I said, 15% are cheap. They will never go for your biggest, best thing. That's okay. But I want you to stop and think for a moment. One of my favorite exercises is to brainstorm, how can I add more value so that somebody wants to pay me more? That is so much more fun as a conversation, as a brainstorming session with your team than, hey, how do I get this cheaper? So I promise you, abundance is way more fun than scarcity. Now, I want to mention, because we talked about scarcity, our scarcity tactics should be judicious and they need to enhance perceived value without appearing to be manipulative or diminishing our brand integrity. I personally don't like those, countdown timers that, after midnight, the price goes up. And by the way, I never, ever, ever discount. Discount is the dirtiest word in the business dictionary. Once you discount, you damage your reputation. So think about always being a premium product. So when you're implementing this scarcity, you want to communicate the reasons behind why it's limited availability. For example, I launch a mastermind a month. There's only room for 10 people. That's it. I don't want 11. I don't want 20. I want 10, so that I can deliver high quality services or personalized services, which overall is designed to enhance client appreciation and desire. And if you do it right, properly managed scarcity can significantly boost your sales momentum and reinforce the exclusivity and desirability of your services. Therefore, people value you more and want to pay you more. Okay, we're at Z or Z. I don't know if that's Canadian or American, but we want to zero in and we're going to focus intensely on delivering high quality service and achieving exceptional client outcomes. Again, we want to be the premium offering, so what can we do to add more value? This is about quality as a core component of your productized offerings, ensuring that every client receives the best possible experience. And here is where we want to do a constant never-ending improvement. This is where AI is amazing. We want to refine and adapt our service offerings based on collecting feedback, exploring market trends, and reviewing and tweaking our services to keep up with client needs and market demands. This allows us to ensure that our offers remain relevant and competitive, and it enhances that valuable component of our transformation trifecta under the treasure trove. So we want to maintain a competitive edge by continuously improving processes and outcomes. We want to stress the need for ongoing innovation and excellence. It's not good enough to keep up with the Joneses. We need to lead the pack, because the leader of the pack, the one who innovates, the one who adds the most value, they're the beacon everybody wants to copy. But more importantly, they're the one all the clients want and they're willing to tell their friends about. So this alone helps you stay ahead of competitors and consistently meet or exceed client expectations. Now, with the power of artificial intelligence, we can use data and client insights to guide enhancements, ensure our alignment with client expectations. I'm a big fan of the ISO certifications. Literally baked into it is the constant and never-ending improvement. Everything you do should be analyzed, we should know what the numbers mean, and we should understand our client interactions and feedback so that we can focus on how to improve our services. One of my favorite resources on this aspect is a book by the late great Chet Holmes. It is called The Ultimate Sales Machine. And in that book, he talks about how to optimize resources, how to improve systems and processes, how to run workshops that get your team aligned. It is amazing, but if you get all of your team focused on this productized aspect, your customer satisfaction will go through the roof. Now, don't do anything without testing and measuring. So I encourage all of you to establish metrics and benchmarks to measure the success and impact of your services. Um, I think Fred Reichheld has a book called Winning on Purpose. And so far, that's one of my favorite books on optimizing and improving. He talks about net lives enriched. He's the founder and creator of the Net Promoter Score. But basically, we want to set clear performance indicators that help us track the effectiveness of our productized services and always identify those areas for improvement. So this is not a one and done. This is ongoing optimization. And by the way, don't feel you have to tackle it all at once. Um, McDonald's, one of the world's most famous process-driven companies, in my opinion, they have a university called Hamburger U where they teach managers and senior staff how to train people. But they also have a 3-4 inch thick reference Bible where it has all their systems and processes. They started back in the day when Ray Kroc was running the first one. They optimized one process at a time. They documented it. Once it was good, then they moved on to the next. I would encourage you to adopt that long-term strategy as well, because one system optimized will make your business more effective, more efficient, more profitable. As you continue to systemize and optimize and productize, you will see more of that. Now, the final step in our 10-step process is to engage clients. And feel free to engage them throughout. One of the things you can say is, hey, we're working on standardizing our systems and processes. We're wondering if you'd like to be part of it. Now, don't be selfish. Find a reason why. Just say maybe we're going to offer you this, or we'll give you this, or we'll do something. Give them a reason to say yes, because no matter what, they are helping you. So a lot of companies do this, but they don't necessarily share it with people. The big companies do this all the time. Why can't smaller companies? And that is creating sort of, let's call it customer panels, market research, whatever it is. But one of the most amazing companies I've ever worked with, they had a quarterly meeting of their top 20 referring clients, and you had to earn that spot. And it was a two-part thing. By being selected, you were there to give your opinions, you were there to help them develop their systems, processes, make their product better. But on the flip side, what they did to add value was they brought in business experts, interviewed them, and let their top 20 clients, or I think in one case there was 40 of us, we got to sit down with these world leading experts. We're talking about the $10,000 an hour consultants that, only the Fortune 500s can bring in. And we got to learn how to solve business problems from a high level perspective. So we got to learn about strategy, we got to learn about tactics. They really helped us with a lot of that big picture stuff. And the third and final benefit was we got to talk to peers and understand what was going on in our specific industry. And we built some relationships that have lasted for over a decade and growing. So the important thing is we want to build strong ongoing relationships with our clients. This is absolutely essential for sustaining and growing your business. This is where you get those referrals. Now, have regular engagement through updates, feedback requests, community building activities. This keeps your clients involved and invested in your brand. And by the way, I mentioned earlier, I love workshops, I love master classes, workbooks, books. If you freely offer, and I don't mean for free, but if you freely offer, tell your clients they can bring a friend, and you have client appreciation events or educational events, and say bring a friend, that is one of the fastest, easiest ways to grow a business. I actually worked with one accounting practice. They doubled from 900,000 a year to 1.8 million in 1 year just by offering quarterly workshops, and they opened it up to their entire community. So literally what they did was they asked their favorite clients to all bring a friend, and they cloned and doubled their favorite clients. And to be clear, that was because they productized first. I don't recommend most professional service firms double in a year, because usually that means you double your headaches and all your other stuff. Once you're productized, then you can grow as much as you want. So actively seeking and acting on client feedback is critical. By the way, don't ask for it if you're not going to ask on it or act on it, because if you don't act, people get offended and they leave. It destroys trust. So we want to show our commitment to continuous improvement and up leveling our client satisfaction. And I'm a big fan of loyalty programs, client exclusive events, ways to add value that don't cost you a lot, and it adds value in bulk rather than one to one. And again, this can enhance retention and turn your best clients into advocates or raving fans. So good, effective client engagement strategies ensure that your clients feel valued and are more likely to return and bring others to you with them. So engage clients is the final piece. And you can productize in whatever order you want. My order is deliberate. It's been tested. I know it works. But really, truly, you should be engaging clients at each step of the way. Asking them for their feedback, saying, how else can we serve you? What else could we do for you? What would you like us to do? And by the way, the number one ask from a lot of clients of experts or professional services is, can you give us more strategy? We will hire you for the tactics, but we need strategy. So one of the things I recommend, I don't care what business you're in, have a monthly town hall on Zoom or Google Meets, Microsoft Teams, where you invite in an expert to talk about a topic. You invite your clients, and by the way, bring in business associates and invite them to talk, bring their clients. By doing that, you build a community of trusted experts. So I'm going to share 3 case studies, and these are deliberately short because I don't want to take forever. But a lot of times, this one is, I've seen a lot of freelancers. In this case, he was a plumber and he was working 18 hours a day. He was run ragged. And basically, what he did was he cut his hours down drastically, to less than 40 hours a week by productizing his service model. So, what he did and where he came from that approach, he was tired of going house to house doing one-off maintenance and repairs. And what he realized was that, that was usually emergency. Somebody's calling at 2 a.m., getting him out of bed, dragging him to their house. So what he started doing was preventative maintenance. And the difference was, with the previous, where he showed up at 2 a.m., people paid for that, but it also took what it took, and he didn't know what his revenue was going to be, and he worked long hours and he missed all kinds of things with his family. So what he did was he created a membership service where his clients paid him a fixed monthly fee. It wasn't expensive, and basically once a quarter he came out, did a quick check of pipes and whatever else needed to be checked, gas fittings and things like that. But he'd just do preventative maintenance, changing furnace filters, whatever those things are. I'm not a plumber, so I don't worry about that. But basically, he also gave his monthly clients, his membership clients, priority service, so that if they called at 2 a.m. and somebody else called at 2 a.m., they were number one on the list. So he added value by doing preventative maintenance, which is always cheaper than repair, and he gave them some priority. So if you're a small freelancer and you're thinking, oh, Jeff, this doesn't apply to me, it does. Think about how you could grow this. So I'll give you another example. I worked with an accountant who worked 80 hours a week. He was burning out, he was exhausted, and he was tired of always answering the same questions. So what he started to do in his community is he built a relationship with the local chamber of commerce and with a local facility that had a big, large meeting room. And once a month, he would do a town hall and he would answer common questions about accounting and tax. And basically, 100% of his revenue generation came out of that experience. His all of his new clients came from those workshops. He no longer had any marketing effort. He no longer did any networking. He just once a month he did a 2 hour presentation and he got all the clients he wanted. He was actually able to pick and choose who he worked with because, again, he had some scarcity. He only took on 3 to 4 new clients a month. So he got to pick the best of the best. He actually raised his revenues significantly. More importantly, he was able to reduce his hours to less than 30 a week because all of his business development was 1 hour a week, or sorry, 1 hour a month in the workshop, or 2 hours. And basically, he had better quality of life, spent more time with his family. So happy wife, happy life. So I cheated. I gave you two case studies in one. Now, this is my favorite case study. I'm going to pick my favorites. I've worked with many, many consultants. This is an aggregate, but basically every single consultant I know, whether they have a coach arm or a consulting arm, they took the steps to create a subscription model. And more or less, if you think about it, and by the way, this is something the global coaching businesses offer. Why not the local ones or consulting? And basically, what they do is they create a series of diagnostics, a series of self help trainings so that people can get really clear on the root cause of their problem. They can get really clear on what the solution must look like. And more importantly, here's how you ask for help from the person providing the training. So basically, they productized. They set the price points as we discussed. They clearly defined their service packages. And basically, they created that recurring revenue model that subscription revenue brings. So instead of, signing up a new client here and there and, some months making 10,000, some months making 5,000, they were consistently able to grow their revenue. And their goal was 20,000 a month. Once they got there, they stayed at that level. And by the way, then they focused on how do I improve the services so that I can reduce the time I work and charge higher fees. Now, in this particular case, they went from, a lot of one and done high value consulting gigs to a monthly recurring revenue where they added a little less value but helped more people. And then whenever they needed a new consulting gig, they just reached out and said, hey, thanks for being a member. We're offering 3 slots this month for this type of consulting. Who's in? And basically, they built a self-referring community. People brought their friends, but instead of trying to, the traditional consulting model, where you do the marketing and sales, you get a project, and you send out some proposal hoping this project ends before the next one starts. They were able to schedule throughout the year. They were able to work less, have less stress. So I can't tell you how much I love this particular case study because it applies to almost every business I can think of. If you're in business, how can you get people to pay you every month to keep coming back? Think about Dollar Shave Club, those pod coffee machines, gym memberships. The most successful businesses have a regular recurring subscription model at their core. And that's where a lot of consulting and professional service expert businesses struggle. is you get these really big projects and then nothing for months. It's feast or famine, feast or famine. You're always trying to find the next big feast. With the subscription model, it's a little bit more boring, but it is very consistent. Now, I have a friend, I won't name the industry because he is the leader in his industry, and if I name it, it gives it away completely. But he took a unique area of law and he customized and standardized so that he could productize it. And basically, he went from being a traditional, typical lawyer, working 80 hours a week, chasing that next client, the next deal. Now he took his expertise and he spent all of his time productizing one thing. And by the way, it's a valuable thing. And once you've spent 30 years learning how to do the thing, it's also highly trainable and it's highly valuable to the clients and it's repeatable. So what he did was he picked one service, he productized it completely, and he is now as a sole practitioner. He's exceeding 2 million a year in revenues. And full disclosure, he did this on his own. He was a stubborn person and he went and figured it out, and I applaud him for it. Um, my advice to you is don't try to figure it out on your own. But basically, what he was able to do was eliminate all of his other services. He was able to eliminate a whole bunch of high end, there was a lot of stuff he did that he had high costs. I had to bring in consultants and contractors and things like that. So he standardized to one product and he literally went from making 300,000 a year on his own to exceeding 2 million. And the best part, last time I talked to him, he was working 1 hour a month, and I quote, just to stay current. Now that's not the the goal for most of you. The goal for most of you is to work 10 hours a week less or something like that. But in his case, he realized that he was better served. The highest and best value of his time was optimizing his service because he's now the only law firm nationally advertising in his niche. And he's the go to guy for his clients. And they all come back at least 2, 3 times a year and they all bring their friends and colleagues. And he works with visionary entrepreneurs. Every time they have a new idea, they need his help. And some of these people are launching a new business every 2, 3 months. So you want to look at in your entire business, what is my best? We talked about the transformation trifecta. He did that. He found his best and he said, and by the way, he had a whole bunch of other things where he could charge more, he could make more per hour, but only he could do it. And he said, Jeff, I could teach people this. It'll only take me 20, 30 years. So he took a big, bold move and he eliminated anything that depended entirely on him. Now, full disclosure, he built the system, he tested it, and he knew that his revenue was coming in consistently from this one specialty product before he started chopping things out. So that would be my advice. Start where you are, figure out what you could optimize today that will help you tomorrow, and then reinvest your time and energy into finding new ways to productize. So at this point, I'm going to throw out some self-reflection. And these questions are really to help you decide if you want to productize or not. For the record, the answer I don't is completely acceptable. I'm hoping if you've watched all the way through, that's not going to be your answer. But if it is, that's okay. Thank you for hanging out with us. I wish you all the best, and I hope you figure out how to scale your business in other ways. So just ask yourself these questions. And question one is, why might you want to productize your service? What area of your life would you like to improve by productizing your service? And again, the answer might be none. Second question, how ready are you to begin productizing? I don't want to convince you of anything. So if you're not a very strong 6 or a 7, that's okay. If you're a 10, welcome. Let's have a chat. If you're a 0, I wish you well, and I'm pretty sure you wouldn't have watched this far anyways. Now, assuming you didn't pick 0, why didn't you pick a lower number? And really, truly, this makes it clear in your mind, not mine, but yours, whether you're truly motivated or you're mildly curious. Because here's the thing, mildly curious won't get you out of bed when it's a cold day. Mildly curious won't get you to show up and do the work. Mildly curious is a recipe for staying where you are. Now, if you're wildly driven and you picked a 10, welcome. Let's have a conversation. Now, the fourth question, imagine you've productized your services. What are the positive outcomes? How is your practice, your personal life, your business better for it? And then number 5, why are those outcomes important to you? Again, if something's mildly important to you, you're not going to do it. You may as well stop here. If something is incredibly, wildly important, you're going to get it done no matter what. And then the last thing is, what's the next step, if any? That could be, I'm going to learn more. Maybe it's, I'm going to take Jeff's course. Maybe it's, I'm going to go back and study something. But really, what's the next step? And again, I'm okay if the next step is nothing. I just want you to be sure that that's the right answer. Now, this has been a high-level overview, and the reason we did this, I want people to be really clear if this is a fit for them or not. I want to give you some ideas. I want you to be able to start on your own. But if you're looking to take this further, at the very beginning, I promised I'd share an invitation for those who want to participate. Now, you'll be recognizing this is about Productize, and I'm just working on some of the final details. But we do have a comprehensive 100-minute workshop. And in that, we take each of the 10 steps of Productize and we spend about 10 minutes on each implementing. Now, you're welcome to show up and learn as you go. My advice is you watch this video, maybe you watch a couple of the more detailed videos. If you want to optimize your results, show up with a draft and say, hey, Jeff, I'd like to share what I've got with you. We can optimize it together, but it's much easier to come prepared than it is to show up and hope for something. So the price point for our 100-minute workshop is a very reasonable $200. The reason it's $200 is because we want to show some value and we want you to be serious. So, if it was less than $100, a lot of people buy and then never show up, or worse, they buy and they don't show up and they don't do the work and then they complain. And we don't want people to show up who aren't serious. So we put in the $200 price point just to weed out the tire kickers. If you're truly serious, in the 100 minutes, we will give you, by the time you're done, you'll get some practical insights, you'll get some practice, and you'll leave with a fairly robust draft of your Productize roadmap. And we also have a whole bunch of extra things. We have templates that you can download, PDF documents that you can copy, Google Docs that you can fill out, Google Sheets, etc. And we have an ongoing support community. We use Discord, and basically through that support community, we share additional resources and we answer questions and comments. So for a low investment of $200, you're going to have a really good foundation for productizing your business. Now, in that, we will also share, for those who want to work with us, those who want to go further, we'll share some of the other resources that we have. But for now, I want to keep it simple. Yes, I know I said I should offer 3 levels of price points. For this, literally, I want it to be a binary. It's a yes or a no. And by the way, if it's not a hell yes, by default, it's a hell no. So I give you permission to say no, but if you think this is a fit for you, let's chat. You can just comment below this or reach out. I'll share some contact details as well. Now, I love to give resources. I'd be a terrible teacher if I didn't share resources. So I'm going to share some of my favorite resources. And the top one is the E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber. Um, one of my more recent favorites is a book called Systemology by David Jennings. And Pat Flynn has a great podcast called the Smart Passive Income Podcast. And there is a newsletter called Mixergy. Sorry, I might be mispronouncing that, but basically they share startup stories. They have over 1,000 entrepreneurs and businesses. And then last but not least, I really love Tim Ferriss for mindset. He's a stoic, and basically he talks about controlling what you control. It's about being practical. And he's also the author of the 4-hour work week. So he shares a lot about systems, processes, and honestly, he's probably the very, very first business book I read that led me down this path of productizing. He talks a lot about muses. He talks a lot about how you can, I think he talks about the deal. So he talks about delegate, eliminate, automate, liberate. So that spells deal. Um, no offense to Tim, but the way I view it, I like to eliminate first, then I like to automate, then I like to delegate. The liberate part comes after the fact. Now, that doesn't spell any nice fancy words, but I do like the rhyme scheme of it. So, the Tim Ferriss Show, or any of the books that Tim Ferriss has written, great resources for furthering your study of this topic. Now, no pressure, but if you made it this far, I'd love it if you could share a little bit of feedback. And in the comments below, just on a scale from 0 to 10, where 0 is not at all likely and 10 is extremely likely, how likely are you to recommend this presentation to a friend or colleague? Now, you can't hurt my feelings, even if you wanted to. If you give me a 0, I'm okay with that. I do, however, ask whatever score you give me, share what influenced your score the most. Why did you give that rating? And share why you chose not to rate me lower. And what I'm looking for here is how can I improve? And very few businesses and definitely very few people say, hey, world, I'm looking to improve. And they mean it. Most people want to hear the praise. I'm good to hear the good, the bad, and the ugly. And really, truly, every bit of feedback we get helps us improve and serve better by creating better content, better products, better workshops, better books, better workbooks. So thank you for your feedback. Now, I like to leave people with a little bit of an action plan. So I want you to just think for a minute and write down, what is your biggest takeaway from today? What did you learn that you didn't know? Um, what did you learn that you're going to apply? So, how does this apply to me is my all-time favorite question. We want to create action items. So, what are we going to do for having learned this? And as I said, it's perfectly okay for you to say thanks, but no thanks. So, my question is, if it does apply to you, what's your takeaway? What are you going to implement? If it's not for you, thank you for hanging out. I wish you all the best. So, we talked about our productize methodology. I'm not going to go through it again, but really truly think about ways you could transform your business. If you don't have a really clear client avatar, if you don't know what your niche is, pinpoint it. That is, in my humble opinion, one of the most important, least used steps, and it can have a huge impact. I don't care what industry you're in or what products or services you offer. So, as a reminder, click below, we'll have a link. You can join us for our paid workshop, or you can read some of the resources I shared. So I want to thank you all. I know you could have spent your time doing other things. The fact that you hung out with me for this time is valuable to me, and I appreciate it. So thank you. And any questions you have, feel free to share below. I'll also share a couple of other links, a couple of other resources, but thank you, and I look forward to your feedback.